Hey there YouTube and persons of the fishing persuasion. Today what we're going to look at is a cheap Chinese reel that I bought off of eBay for 120 bucks. We're going to see what's inside the box, maybe fool around with it a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to do any kind of a takedown, but I was really curious about this simply because for $120 for a CNC machined aluminum fishing reel that's 2-speed and seems to get good reviews, well, that's a heck of a bargain. The last time I bought a 2-speed reel, it was a Daiwa Saltist, and I got it for a pretty good deal, new, paid about 160 bucks for it. But 120 bucks for a 2-speed with supposedly 44 pounds of drag on it, that's kind of unbelievable. So if you're looking for the reel itself, I'm going to read this off to you from the eBay listing. It's a big game jigging saltwater fishing reel, CNC machined, 2-speed, 44 pounds lever drag. Sells for $119.99. There are several sellers on eBay of these things. They seem to all come from the same factory, because they look identical, and there's a number of different versions. There's the one that has 44 pounds of drag on it. It's the biggest of the lot. There's another one that sells for around 100 bucks. It's also a 2-speed, but it has, I think, I want to say 28 pounds of drag, and it's got a smaller spool. And then they have a couple of single-speed reels that are also on the smaller side with 28 pounds to 20 pounds of drag. The sellers are all over the block. I found there's a company called Channel May that seems to sell these, and the one that I bought it from goes by the acronym WMZACC-5. I noticed that there's also a -7 and a -3. This particular seller gets 100% on the reviews, so hopefully what we've got inside the box matches the description, and we'll see whether or not this was worth my shelling out 120 bucks for. So let's get started. Throw that away. The box. First of all, it's super well packed. I mean, this thing is a box. You can tell it's a box that's been bubble wrapped, and then the whole thing has been wrapped in some kind of heavy duty Tyvek type plastic. So whatever's inside's been well protected, and you're seeing this for the first time just as I am. So let's rip that. Oh, we actually have foam padding in here, so it's not just bubble wrap. Cool. Throw that away. Slide it through there. Get that. Get that. And what do we have? Actually, it's like a real product box, which is surprising. Most of these things tend to come in generic boxes. And here we go. And see, it says 2-speed gear ratio 4.5 to 1, 2.1 to 1. 30 kilograms for the drag strength, which I would assume rates out to 44 pounds. 7 + 1 ball bearings. What else is on the side of the box here? Features and benefits. That looks like that's all written in different languages. So let's go over to the other side. And this is in English. Stainless steel ball bearing. This one says +1 needle bearing. Strong stainless steel handle with power handle knob. 2-speed gear ratio 4.5 to 1. Left-hand model. So I bought the right-hand model. In theory, this should be silver, I think. That's what I got. So let's see what's inside the box. All right, more foam padding. And we have a reel inside of a case, of all things. Well, that's cool. Okay. Bubble wrap off that, throw it over there. I'm presuming this is probably a tool. Nope. Okay, so this is the rod clamp. Don't see any tools in here. Don't see any real schematics or diagrams, but I do see a big honkin' fishing reel. Man, this thing's heavy. Loud clicker. Turn that off. And we're back. Sorry about that, folks. It'll teach me when I do a video to not only turn my cell phone off, which I did, but also turn the home phone off as well, or move it to another room. So let's pick up where we were, and we were looking at the reel, and as I said, this thing is one heavy sucker. I mean, I'm guessing it's got to be at least 2 pounds. But hey, let's find out. Handy dandy scale right here. What's my guess? Let's see if we can get it up. Will you sit flat without? Ah, there we go. That's pretty close. 1 pound, 8 ounces. So yeah, not a lightweight reel. And since I imagine you probably want to see the workings of it, we're going to reposition the camera and get this a little bit closer. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the pieces on here. I don't think I'm going to do a teardown right now. Looks like it would be fairly involved, and I don't have my hex wrenches out here, or star wrenches, whatever those are. So, lever drag feels really good. Definitely you can tell that there's a lot of drag on this reel if you want to set it up that high. I mean, yeah, I can barely move the spool and then knock it back, and it's actually very smooth. I mean, there's a little tiny bit of gear noise in there, but not much. 2-speed function, yeah, that works. So pushing the button, da 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 da. High speed when the button's out, and low speed when the button's in. The don't know if it's just the handle ratio here when it's in low gear, but it feels a little bit like the drag changes. So feels like it's changing a little bit more than what I would expect from just the 2-speed function itself. But I'd actually have to put some line on it and do an actual pull test as opposed to just holding the handle in place and trying to do it with my hands. Massive, massive piece of aluminum here. I mean, this thing, I think if you handed this to somebody who didn't know any better, they'd probably say this was a $500 or $600 reel. I certainly don't know any better. No markings on it anywhere other than it's got, does it even have strike labeled on it? Yeah, it does. On the top here it just says strike, and then full up here. Not a big fan of this action right here. It seems to have a little bit of looseness to it. So I don't know if that's just part of the way this reel is designed or what. But anyway, if you want to see the reel actually torn down, take a look on YouTube for a guy from the UK. I can't remember the name of his channel. I'll try to post it in the comments and put a link to it. But he actually takes the reel apart and was pretty impressed with it because he found that it had a dual drag system on it that was just massive. And it seemed like the gearing and everything else was, as advertised, stainless steel and not small, insignificant parts. Supposedly, the rumor on this thing is that it's being made by some company as a copy of another reel, and that they've been sort of testing the waters of selling these things direct without any real marketing to them. One thing I did was I tried contacting the seller on this because it really wasn't clear from their literature as to how much line this would hold. I think they listed this at holding something like 200 yards of 20-pound test, and that just didn't seem right. I mean, that, you know, it looks to me like it holds more than that. But certainly, you know, if I were loading this up, I would put 65 or 80-pound braid on there, and then, you know, back it with whatever topper you wanted to attach to the braid. Probably good up to about maybe 100-pound, 150-pound bluefin or something like that. I don't, you know, definitely wouldn't try anything larger than that, but that's the kind of stuff that we get here offshore in San Diego all the time, so probably a good idea. Anyway, hope this helps you out in making a decision as to whether or not you want to plunk down $120 for a reel. Next step on this is for me to actually put it on a rod and fish it on some trip. So probably get around to that sooner or later. Thanks for watching.